Welcome to the Modern V,
a space where the V not only stands for vagina, but voice, vulnerability, and victory.
We're Michelle
and Leilani,
friends for over 20 years, truth tellers and co-hosts.
Together, we're unpacking what we were taught to whisper about: sex, power, identity, and everything in between. Nothing is off limits.
Raw, relatable, and unapologetic. This is how we take back the narrative and make it ours again.
We dive deep into experiences, challenges, and the power of modern womanhood, because women's stories shape culture.
We don't always agree, and that's the magic. Two perspectives, one mission: elevating the voices of women who refuse to shrink.
This isn't just another podcast. It's us rewriting the script.
It's time to get loud.
It's time to get real.
This is the Modern V. Welcome to our very first intro episode of the Modern V. Before we jump into the bold conversations ahead, we want to slow it down a bit and let you in on who we are. Not just as your hosts, but as women, with our own stories, our own battles, and our own truths.
This episode is about pulling back the curtain. You'll hear where we come from, what shaped us, and why we're so passionate about creating this space. Because the Modern V isn't just a podcast. It's a reflection of our lives, our voices, and the voices of women everywhere.
We're so excited to start this chapter in our lives and to share this journey with you all. So let's begin by introducing ourselves and giving you a glimpse into the hearts behind the mic.
I'm Leilani, a mom, a wife, and a woman who's still figuring it all out while laughing along the way. Because honestly, if there's one thing I've learned, is that laughter heals. It's been my lifeline through every season: the good, the messy, the unexpected. I don't think I'd be standing where I am today without it. My motherhood story is a little unconventional. When I married my husband at 32, I didn't just become a wife. I became a mom overnight to his 12-year-old son. That experience changed me. It taught me that motherhood doesn't always begin with a pregnancy test or a baby bump. Sometimes it begins the moment you decide to love a child as your own. And then years later, I had my first baby at 40, something I never imagined would be a part of my story. It was humbling, beautiful, exhausting, and completely worth it. Those experiences taught me that family isn't just about bloodlines. It's about love, commitment, and showing up for the people who matter, even when life gets messy, even when it's hard. That's what she said. I grew up between East New York and Puerto Rico, two places that couldn't be more different, yet both shaped me deeply. In Brooklyn, I learned grit and survival. In Puerto Rico, I learned warmth, culture, and pride in my roots. Those years taught me how to adapt, how to hustle, and how to stay grounded in who I am no matter where I land. But growing up wasn't always easy. Addiction was a shadow in my home for many years. And even though there's healing now, that experience left its mark. It shaped my childhood. From the instability in our home to the financial struggles that seemed never ending. It made me grow up fast, but it also planted a fire in me, a deep desire to break cycles, create something different for my family, and to make sure the next generation doesn't carry the same weight. For 17 years, I stayed in the comfort of a steady job. It was safe, predictable, reliable. The kind of job where you know exactly what to expect. But deep down, I knew there was more out there for me. Eventually, I hit a point when I realized comfort can also be a trap. So I took the leap, and now I'm in the middle of a major career transition. It's terrifying and thrilling all at once, but I know it's where I'm supposed to be. This chapter of my life is about growth and unlearning old habits that no longer serve me. I'm teaching myself what I wish I had learned earlier in life: how to manage money, build wealth, and talk about finances openly. Because like so many Latino homes back in the day, money just wasn't something we talked about. Now I'm changing that narrative. So my husband and I are building generational wealth, but more importantly, building generational wisdom. So my children grow up seeing what financial freedom can really look like. At my core, I'm loyal, honest, sometimes brutally honest, funny, and full of heart. I love a good laugh. I love deep conversations. And I love connecting with women who are just trying to do their best while juggling all the roles life hands us. That's what the Modern V means to me. It's a space where I get to bring both the laughter and the lesson. It's where I get to show up fully, unfiltered, imperfect, and real. because we're all works in progress, and that's exactly what makes us beautiful. So if my story sounds a little like yours, if you ever felt caught between who you are and who you're becoming, then you're in the right place. We're learning, growing, and healing together, one episode, one laugh, one lesson at a time. And now I want you to meet the other half of this conversation, my friend, my sister in truth-telling, and the voice that balances mine.
Who am I? That's a loaded question. Honestly, it was hard for me to write about myself because I'm such a complex person. I'm Michelle, a mom of 2 beautiful kids, a boy and a girl. I'm a wife, a sister, and your new best friend. Dominican by blood, Plátano power, but born and raised in Queens, New York. I've always been the type to fight for what's right. I wear my heart on my sleeve and never hesitate to speak up for others. If I love you, I will go to war for you. But the truth is, beneath the armor, I'm soft. I'm compassionate and fierce in the way I care. I'll give you the shirt off my back without hesitation, because I truly believe that love has the power to heal. I consider myself the people's cheerleader, the one who will always root for you, remind you of your strength, and celebrate your wins. I grew up hearing, "Tú eres de guerra," you are of war. At first, I took offense to that. I believed it meant I was combative, when really I was just speaking my mind. I knew I wasn't born to fit into a box. I was born to question, to stand my ground, to never back down easy. As I got older, I carried those words with pride. I also realized I was born into a world where women were expected to endure in silence, to stay small, and to carry the weight of generations on their backs. I promised myself that wouldn't be my story. A perfect example. Growing up, I watched women in my family live drastically different roles. Some were divorced, raising kids alone, holding down jobs, and still showing up for everyone but themselves. Others lived like it was still the 50s, serving meals, pressing clothes, tending to children, running entire households, all while carrying unspoken resentment toward the very men they served. On the other hand, through my grandparents who raised me, I learned what real balance looked like. True partnership that proved women didn't have to do it all alone. They taught me independence, to get my hands dirty, and to understand that people don't last forever. Not to make me fearful, but to make me strong, to prepare me to carry myself if I ever needed to. They taught me wisdom, to seek knowledge, to question everything, to never take life at face value. But the greatest lesson they taught me was humility, to treat the waiter with the same respect as a CEO, because real strength is rooted in respect, not titles. These lessons shaped who I am today, and I am grateful for them. Still, even with all that empowerment, I got the same old message. You need to learn how to cook, clean, and take care of yourself. Not because those were useful life skills, but because if I didn't, I supposedly embarrassed myself when finding a husband. Did I prove them wrong? But don't get it twisted. I can do all those things, but I did them for myself, not for someone else. I knew that whoever decided to be with me would have to accept me for who I am. And if they didn't, their loss. Because I knew exactly what I brought to the table. The real question was, what were they bringing to the table? And then there were other antiquated ways that never sat right with me. For instance, my virginity was sacred, and I remember thinking, what man is saving himself for me? My period was treated like something shameful. I was reminded again and again, es la vergüenza de la mujer, the shame of a woman. And sex? We didn't even talk about it. All I knew was not to get pregnant. For me, the modern V is the answer to all of that. A place to speak out and hold space for every woman who's ever been told to shrink. I want my daughter to know she can stand without fear or shame. And I want my son to grow up seeing women as equals and true partners. Because tú eres de guerra doesn't mean fighting forever. It means breaking cycles, building something new, and leaving the next generation stronger. You may find a Leilani or Michelle in yourself too, because in every woman who refuses to shrink, there's a part of us.
And that's a little piece of who we are, the women behind the voices. These stories are the roots of why we're here and why this space matters so much to us.
We're stepping into this new chapter with open hearts, knowing this isn't just about us, it's about all of us together.
We realized our dinner conversations carried real meaning, so we decided to bring them out of the private and into the public, because everyone deserves a seat at the table. Our healing isn't just for us, it's for every woman who's ever felt alone in her story.
Because let's be real, women are taught to play roles, to be quiet, to carry it all, to smile through it. And even though our stories are different, we both understood the struggle.
Our why is simple. The Modern V exists to amplify voices that deserve to be heard. It's about breaking cycles, daring to ask the hard questions, and refusing to shrink.
And it's about reminding each of us that vulnerability isn't weakness. It's where freedom begins. Our hope is simple, that in these stories, you hear your own strength and know you're never alone.
Because our stories deserve the mic.
So let's talk about the V in the Modern V. Because yes, it stands for vagina, but it also stands for so much more.
The V is about voice. Yours, mine, all of ours. For too long, we were told to whisper and swallow our truths. Not here. At the Modern V, we speak it all out loud, and we do it unapologetically.
The V is also about vulnerability, that scary, uncomfortable place where we take off the armor and admit the things we're still working through. Vulnerability is where healing begins, and we're not afraid to go there. We're stripping ourselves down to the core, to the parts we don't let many people see, and sometimes not even ourselves.
And finally, the V is for victory. Not just the kind that makes headlines, but the kind that belongs to all of us. The quiet triumphs that happen in the choices we make to honor ourselves. Drawing boundaries, breaking toxic patterns, letting go and remembering our worth.
Because victory isn't about perfection. It's about the process and the progress, about reclaiming what was once taken from us and rewriting our stories on our own terms.
Voice, vulnerability, victory. Together, they are the heartbeat of this podcast.
And now that you know the foundation of what we stand for, let's talk about what we can expect from the conversations ahead. The themes, the stories, and the journeys we'll be diving into together.
New episodes will drop bi-weekly. Some will be just us, diving into the conversations too many women are still having in silence.
Other times, we'll bring in guests, survivors, experts, advocates, and everyday women, because every voice matters here.
We're also making space for community conversations, roundtables, listener questions, even anonymous submissions. Because sometimes the stories that never make headlines are the ones that hit the hardest.
And here's a sneak peek at what's coming this season. Beyond the tabloid, centering women's voices, survivor stories, more than one name, breaking the silence, breaking the healing, with a professional guest, and unapologetic joy.
But don't get it twisted, it won't always be heavy. We'll bring laughter, joy, and real talk about what's happening in the world too. Whether it's politics, okay, that will definitely be Michelle, entertainment, or just the everyday things women deal with.
Because healing isn't all tears. Sometimes it's laughter. And growth doesn't have to be heavy. It can be joy too.
One thing we want you to know is that the Modern V isn't just our podcast. It's our community.
This is a space where your stories, your questions, and your voices matter just as much as ours.
If you want to be a part of the conversation, there are a few ways to jump in. Share your story or question with us on Instagram at The Modern V Podcast. Send us a DM or email us at themodernvpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to keep it private, please specify when submitting a personal story that you would like to be anonymous, because we know some truths are easier to share without a name.
We also want to hear from you if there's a topic you want us to unpack, a guest you think we should bring on, or a story you think the world needs to hear.
And yes, we'll also be connecting beyond the podcast. Think newsletters with resources, maybe live events down the line, and ways for us to build this sisterhood together.
And don't forget, share and tag our page and podcast with your friends. Get the word out, because the more voices at the table, the stronger this community becomes.
And don't worry, we'll always give content warnings when an episode covers sensitive topics, and we'll link resources in the show notes if you or someone you know needs support.
So here we are at the end of our very first episode of The Modern V. Thank you for taking this first step with us.
This is just the beginning of a journey we're excited to share. a journey of voice, vulnerability, and victory.
Remember to follow us on Instagram at The Modern V Podcast and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss a new episode. Before we go, we want to give you a glimpse of what's coming in 2 weeks.
Because it's such a tender and important conversation, we want to begin with a content warning. Episode 2 will include discussions of abuse and trauma.
Please listen with care. If at any point you need to pause or step away, honor that. Your well-being comes first.
Episode 2 is called Beyond the Tabloid, Centering Women's Voices.
We'll dig into the stories of abuse that make headlines. But instead of focusing on the tabloid drama, we're centering the women behind them, their voices, their truths.
We'll talk about how cycles of abuse and silence repeat in relationships, in families, even across generations, and what it really takes to break free.
If you're a survivor, know this: you are not alone, and your story matters. If you need support, you can call the RAIN National Sexual Assault Hotline at 1-800-656-4673 or dial 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
And be safe in the meantime.
Stay loud.
Stay real.
Stay you.
This is The Modern V.